Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little different than usual. Today I'm going to be reviewing and walking through an application or just an app called Obsidian. So Obsidian is a quite a feature-rich app. Its primary use is for note taking. If you're studying for any kind of exam or you're just taking a course or you just want to document something, it's an extremely powerful tool. It's really well built, I think, and I don't think it has enough exposure as compared to other apps. And I wanted to walk you through this app, give some of the feedback and my thoughts on it, and also show you another app along the way that's kind of similar to this and might be a good alternative. So I'm going to quickly open up their webpage. So this is, you can go over to their webpage at obsidian.md, and this is how it looks. So their basic concept is it's a second brain. This is quite popular concept. Creating your own digital version of your brain where you map out everything that you think of and create these relationships. So this is something that's very popular and something that you might consider doing. So you can see over here that it's not just a note-taking app. You also have this graph view where you can create these relationships between different entities, different notes, and you could see how your knowledge spans out. So whenever you're maybe revising through or studying one particular topic, you can, instead of just dumping the entire notes into one page, you can divide them into subfolders or and link between files and folders, so that when you're studying one particular topic you can see the related topics and then you could branch out and see how it progresses. So it's very powerful and I'm going to walk you through that right now. So I'm going to switch over to my app. So you can see this is the window that I'm using right now. And basically what you can do is you can create different repositories or different projects or something like that, right? And this is basically a folder somewhere on your computer where all your notes are going to live. And I have created, so usually what I would do is, depending on my use case. So right now I'm just in school, I'm just, general note taking. So I only have one project or one repository, something like that. And I just called it notes or my personal notes, something generic, right? And this is where I have everything. Now, if I'm maybe doing some other side project or working for some company or something, and I want to separate it out, I can create a separate repository or folder, and that will open up in a different window. So I can separate it out like this. And the basic difference between this and other note-taking applications is it was initially built to be completely local. It's open source. It's incredibly secure. If you doubt them, you're free to go and check out the code, and everything happens locally. So you don't have any kind of vendor lock-in. As far as syncing your data with the cloud, you can choose any kind of provider. You can, if you want Google Drive, you can do that. If you want Microsoft OneDrive, you can do that too. So you're not restricted. And if you want the simplicity, if you want to have simple backups, sync your data and access them on multiple devices, they have a paid plan which you can use. But I'll show you what I have done. I generally like to keep things with myself and organize it the way I like it, have more granular control. So I'll show you what I've done with my notes. So on the left side, you have this pane or column where you have all your notes. So if you have just files, it's going to look like this. And if you have folders, all your notes will go inside them. So I don't know, let's open one with multiple so you can see the multiple notes. And once you're inside, all you need to do is start typing. So it's an extremely simple interface. I think the only one issue with this is for new users, it might be a little hard because this uses a markdown syntax, which I really like. I think this is so much more better than typing your notes in Microsoft Word or Office Word, or Google Docs, something like that. Here it follows a consistent theme and syntax. So for example, if you want a heading, you just add one hash and then the heading. So this is your big heading. If you want a subheading or a smaller heading, this two hashes. Even smaller one, three hashes. That's how you add a heading. If you want to add a list item, so you could add a dash and then a space and then start adding stuff. Or you could maybe do a dash and then a tab, and then you could add stuff too. Similarly, you can add a plus and then a tab and add stuff like this. So this is how you add lists. You can even add numbered lists. So just type one dot and a space and then you have numbered lists. So similarly, you can do that. Then what else? You can add links. So links generally follow this square bracket and then this curly bracket, the curved bracket, the normal parenthesis format. So you add the name of the list, what you want to actually see, for example, Google, and then inside the actual parentheses, you add the actual URL. So this will be www.google.com. And then if you want to see how the preview looks, you could do Control E or click on this preview icon over here and you can see the preview. Another option is you can actually open it up in a new pane. So if you click more options, you could, let's see, think it is split horizontally. No, that's vertical. So close this and split vertically. And here what I can do is I could have my preview. So I've splitted it, and what I can do is I can link the panes. So I can say link with pane and then I can select this. Right now this is the only one pane and I can select this. So you can see as I scroll in one pane I can scroll here too. So I can type and I can see the preview side by side. So another thing is, if you have these links, you don't have to worry too much. Maybe you're copying a link from a website. If you paste over here, it's automatically going to paste in with this formatting for you. So it's simple and it works also. Similarly, if you want to add an image, this is where also I really like it. It makes it extremely simple. All you need to do is add a question mark in the front. So if you add a question mark in the front, it fetches the image from this URL. So it's not working over here because this is not an image, this is a web page. But if you actually had a URL to an image, it would work. Or what you could simply do is, drag and drop an image into one of these places and then reference it over here. Or the simplest thing you can do is copy and paste. Wherever the image is, Control C to copy or Command C to copy and paste it over here. It's going to automatically paste the image and it's going to put it in your notes folder. What I have done is I've added a specific attachments folder. So instead of just dumping all the images in one place, it puts all my images in one separate folder so that it doesn't get cluttered with my actual notes. So that's how you do the images. If you want to separate your pages, maybe add a line break, it's 3 dashes. That does that. And one thing you can do is, I've not used this frequently, but you can add tags to your thing. So you can add a tag like this, maybe a Google tag. So Google tech tag. So you can add tags like this in different pages, and then you have really powerful search functionality. So you can go here to the search place, and then I could do for tags. I can see Google. I can see my notes are showing up, and even if I don't have any kind of tagging system or headings, anything, I can just search in free text. So notes, maybe math, physics. Let's do physics. So I can see everything over here. It's very fast, it's very powerful. And there's also this feature to explain the search term. So if it's not the exact search term, you can explain what the search term means. So the fact that they've even done all of this is just really cool, and it makes it very powerful in my opinion. So these are just a few ways you can do. Now, I don't want to be explaining Markdown to you. This video is not about explaining Markdown syntax, but about reviewing this. But you can also do things like adding a table. So Markdown generally you add a table by separating them with these vertical bars, and then maybe let's say name, and then age, and then the next line. So you can see it automatically completed this. It added these vertical lines or these dashes, and then I can start typing over here. So this is my name, this is my age, and then you can see how simple this is. Auto completion. So this is really cool in my opinion, because this is a standard. And one thing that you might have noticed or might not have noticed is this theme. So I'm typing like this, but it automatically looks beautiful on the side with this nice, elegant, consistent theme. You can choose what theme you want, and that's something that I really like. So you can go over to settings, and then you could go, I think it's appearance, and then there is a base theme, a dark or a light theme, which you can choose. And you could, if you know web development, or if you have a theme that your friend has written or you found somewhere on the internet, it's just a plain CSS file, you could apply that custom CSS file to whatever you want. or you could choose from one of the community themes. So you have a list of community themes over here, some really cool ones. You can choose whatever you like, whichever is your preference, and apply it. So that's something that's really cool, because at the end of the day, it's what you type, the notes that you write is never going to change. It's just the final output, the styling alone. So I feel that this is much more productive in your note taking. And the last point I think maybe I want to mention is that it's capable of rendering graphics. If you want to embed YouTube videos or any video for that matter, I already showed you pictures. You can embed audio. I've actually added this this recording plugin. And the other thing that I need to mention is the plugins. There are a lot of community plugins that you can choose from, and I've added this audio plugin, so I can just click to start and stop recording, and the audio just gets dropped in over here, which I can play whenever I want. And I think the last thing in regards to the node itself is the math syntax, so the equations. So it uses this latex syntax if you're familiar with it, and it will be anyways very useful if you're doing any kind of research papers. So for example, if I want to write x equals 2 plus 3, maybe that's one equation. So if I want to write an inline expression, I could just use $1 enclose it within that. Or if I want to add a block expression, add it, enclose it within $2. So maybe now I could do y equals 2 and in brackets 3 and then to the power x, something like this. So this is going to be you know let's just resize this. So this is going to be a another expression that you can do. This is block, so it takes up the entire line. Over here I can continue to type within the same line. Here it won't be possible, it's going to go to the next line. So that's how you use latex. This is standard syntax used in many places in the web, and this is going to be very helpful anyways. So you can quickly add these equations also. And I think the most important point is the knowledge graph. So I'm going to show that to you. And I've not used it effectively. I'm just going to come out and say it. But if you do use it effectively, it's going to be something really powerful. So you can see how it displays everything over here. Let me just close this. And what you can do is you can edit the settings. So you can edit the size, the forces, so how strong they are or how close they are to each other. You can move them around, and if you actually use them effectively, if you create links between documents, you could see there's actually a backup, not backup, there's a links place, so backlinks and links to other notes. So you can utilize all of that, and you will have these arrows from one document to the other document, and it's probably going to be really useful for you. So I don't think any application even comes close to this, and it's very useful. It's not talked a lot about. It is quite new, and it is cross-platform. It's available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And if you know me, if you've been following the channel, I really have a lot of interest, and I want to support open source software. And the fact that they even considered Linux is a huge thing for me. And it is cross-platform, so whatever platform you're running on, it's going to work. Now, this pretty much wraps up the video, but one point I want to add on is another alternative to this, because I understand that it might be a little difficult for newcomers who don't know Markdown syntax because they don't have any kind of help or graphical user interface. What I would have liked is for newcomers, even if it's not a persistent option, maybe an option to disable or enable it, is a small bar, just a one row, extremely small bar on the top or on the bottom, where you have a few common options. For example, bold, italics, underline, add a link, add an image, upload a file, something like that, where the common options you can just click on those buttons instead of typing it automatically. So over practice, typing it manually is going to be more effective and productive for you in terms of time use, but at least for newcomers it's going to be helpful. So if this is little difficult for you, if you want another option, I would really recommend Notion. Notion is an extremely good tool. It's much more popular than this. It came out a little while back, and that it's fully graphical. You never have to come and touch over here. Behind the scenes is basically Markdown. So if you want to export it to Markdown, export it to HTML, export it to a PDF, you can do it that. You can do that here too. So there's an export option. You can do that both places, but that it's much more user friendly. So they have a web version and they have a desktop version. Both Notion and Obsidian, they have a Electron app, so it's pretty much the same thing. But I feel that because Obsidian does everything locally, it's much more fast and performant than Notion. Notion is a little bit laggy and requires a good network connection at all times, even though they do support an offline mode. So that's something that you might want to consider. What else? So let me quickly open up Notion and switch to that, so you can see my browser. So Notion is over here, and in Notion collaboration might become a little easier. It's synced by default, so maybe if you want more storage you might have to go for the paid version, but the free version has enough. And they have a few additional things. Notion is, much more advanced. It has more features, not as directly comparable with Obsidian, but they have other things like, creating much more complex tables, databases, keeping track of different tasks, especially if you're working on a group project with multiple people. So that might be really helpful. And this is something that you could use to definitely get started with. And I think finally, what I'm going to talk about is how I manage my notes and sync them, because I told you I don't use the paid version. So, what I do is, in case anyone's curious, I sync my notes with GitLab. So, I'm already a web developer. I'm very used to GitHub, GitLab, and Git as a version control system in general. So, anyway, since this is because it's Markdown, it's just a text file at the end of the day, what you're editing. It's very low on storage, doesn't take up much space like a Word document. So I just sync them with GitLab. Generally, I use GitHub just for my actually web dev and any kind of software projects. GitLab is a little bit more personal because, anyways, it doesn't have a much larger ecosystem. I just use it for my personal things. So I have a private notes repository where I keep everything, and I have a cron job, which maybe runs every day or every week, which synchronizes the repository, pulls and pushes to the repository, and keeps everything in sync. And one other thing that you also have in Notion is snapshots. So Notion itself has version control and history inbuilt. So it automatically takes your snapshots. You can select the interval that you want to take the snapshots in, maybe every few seconds, every minute, every hour, every day, or every month, and it automatically takes snapshots. So by mistake, if you delete a file or delete a line, you have everything together. So that wraps up this video. I hope you like the walkthrough. If you have any questions, if you want to see any other product, let me know. And that's going to wrap up this video. So thank you for watching.